Moikka moi, it's Riikka Kovasin here. Today I'm making a card. I'm using a stamping tool to stamp this horse because, well, I'm not that good of a stamper, so it's easier for me to use the stamping tool and thus get a perfect impression of the stamp. This stamp set is actually a winter themed, but I wanted to use it for a summer kind of card, so I'm adding some flowers to it. The patterns itself in the horse are not that snowy or wintry, so I'm able to pull it off. At least I'm thinking so. So I die cut these stackable flowers from white cardstock, and then I'm using different distress inks to color them. The flowers themselves are kind of just lace-like, so they are see-through, but I'm layering them on top of the horse, so I need something more solid. So I'm using the dies to give me some kind of guideline to kind of make a little background for them. So I'm cutting these shapes out of inked cardstock and then mounting the flowers on top. With this kind of a bud shape, I'm being a little bit more precise of the shape and the size, but with the other two it's not that key because they can be a little haphazardous. I also inked on the horse using the same colors and cut him out, and now I'm turning my attention to the background. First I was thinking just use white cardstock there, but it looked really too pale, so I'm adding some green to that. I'm using a stamp, adding the ink on top, and then spraying some water to get this kind of a watercolor look. I'm also adding some splashes using a fan brush. Then I dry the cardstock piece and add a little bit more stamping there with a letter kind of stamp. Then I also cut the card base a little bit smaller, ink around the edges, and mount it on top of pale lilac card to make it like a little frame. Then it's just adding the elements in. I'm first adding the horse in place using foam tape and then the flowers. To have a little bit more detail to the card, I added some sewing to these stems of the flowers. Just a little nice touch of another material there. Then I'm adding the flowers on top, again using foam tape. Lastly, I mounted the card on top of a card base and inking the edges of this little sentiment strip I'm then adding with foam tape to the card. Afterwards, I also added a little bit of doodling to the flowers, kind of highlighting the contrast a little bit to make them more part of the horse, which is quite dark in this card. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing. Usually there's another video next Friday, but we're celebrating Midsummer Eve here, so there's going to be a little gap. And then a week from that, another video. Thanks again. See you then. Bye.